MMA Rants and Raves, the question: should Jake Shields move up to middleweight or stay at welterweight? Now, this is something I just don't understand. I mean, I am just freaking clueless about this because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why in the world, why the heck is Jake Shields at welterweight? I mean, he just came off an unbelievable performance, a dominant performance, a 5-round wrestling domination of Dan Henderson, who has fought at light heavyweight. Dan Henderson is a big, scary, legendary fighter, well-rounded fighter, great wrestler, Olympic caliber wrestler, and a really good striker. He was able to dominate this guy, okay? He was a bigger, arguably, stronger guy than Jake Shields, and he was able to wrestle this guy at middleweight, okay? He was the middleweight champion, defended it at middleweight. He comes over here, drops down to welterweight, It's a big drop in weight. And you look at the fight, he was still able to win the fight, although it was very close. And I agree with the announcers, he was really tired at the end of that fight, and they said it, and I agreed. It's a weight cut that's doing it. I mean, he looked really tired, and he didn't look tired at the end of the Dan Henderson fight, and that's a grueling 5-round fight, and a fight where he got rocked early, had to work very hard to control this guy on the ground. He still had to work, and he didn't look that tired at the end. That's 5 rounds, and this was just a 3-round fight against Cameron. Now, here's something else I want to bring up. Here's another point. Look at the welterweight division, okay? And look at the middleweight division. Now, before I get into that, when you're a fighter and you want to fight somebody, right? What do? You look for the other guy's weakness. You need to be an opportunist when you're in this fight game. And when you're an opportunist, you look for opportunities. A chance where you see opponents' weaknesses and you're able to exploit on them. Now, if you look at the welterweight division is not only stacked with great fighters, it's stacked with wrestlers. I mean, let's look down the line. You have GSP. You have Josh Koscheck. You have John Fitch. You have Mike Pyle. You have Jake Ellenberger. Even Campbell's a good wrestler. I mean, you go down the line, wrestler after wrestler, great wrestlers, really good wrestlers. And now you're coming into this division as a wrestler. And you're also coming in this division, with a guy who's probably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, a guy who really doesn't have that many weaknesses, since his last loss, he's just been so dominant, so controlling over his opponents. I mean, he's hardly lost a round. Very, very good fighter. Now, let's go on to the middleweight division. There are hardly any wrestlers in the middleweight division. The only great wrestler, and I mean great wrestler in the middleweight division, is Chael Sonnen, but we don't know when he's going to be back. With all the issues he's going through, right? And if you look at the entire division, and I'm talking about top guys, I'm not talking about guys that are up-and-comers and guys that are starting out. You look at the top 5, top 6 guys in the middleweight division, I mean, I'm thinking and I'm talking about active fighters, so Sonnen is not really active right now. You're looking at Vitor Belfort, a guy who has been battling injuries, a great fighter, battling injuries. He's not a wrestler, he's a striker. Anderson Silva, just the opposite. Wrestling is his weakness, which is what I'm going to get into. And then you look at all the other guys. You have Damian Maia, who's a very talented fighter, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy, not a wrestler. Nate Marquardt is really good. His wrestling is good, but he's not a great world-class type wrestler like you have in the welterweight division. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Now, if I'm Jake Shields, right, I have a chance, to make history. I mean, this guy has won so many different belts and different promotions. He has a chance to pick up another belt. And his best chance to do that, guys, is in the middleweight division. I mean, just think of the problems that Jake Shields can cause for Anderson Silva. I mean, do you remember what Chael Sonnen did to Anderson Silva? Now, Sonnen is a great wrestler, really good. But Shields wrestling is incredible. If you watch this fight against Cameron, you can see how technical, how intelligent he is on the ground, the way he moves, the way he protects himself from submissions, and the way he handles himself, the way he gets takedowns, the way he fights for them. He's strong, he's powerful. I mean, even when he was shooting for them, you can see how quick he is. When he's up low, he goes to the ground, but gets up right away to protect himself. because the other guy can pounce on him. So he's quick. I mean, he uses amazing technique. I mean, I can see this guy giving Anderson Silva all kinds of problems. And one thing you know, he's not going to get caught in the spider's web. You know, I don't see it happening. Anything's possible. I don't see it happening against Jake Shields, because Jake Shields has something that Sonnen doesn't have. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. I mean, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has many victories by submission. So, you know, if anything, Silva has to be the one careful not to get submitted, because that's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So imagine taking a Chael Sonnen and combining him with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You know, that triangle that he got at the end of the fight against Sonnen, that probably won't happen, because that's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that's wrestling you. So if you think about it, you know, he could really cause problems for a guy like Anderson Silva, and has a real good opportunity to pick up a belt. So I don't know why he's fighting in the welterweight division right now. Maybe they're looking for a guy to face GSP, and it really makes it intriguing. You know, you could make the claim, oh yeah, maybe they're looking to make this super fight between Shields and GSP, but you know something? I agree, it's just weight cut. I mean, I think this guy is a middleweight. He should definitely demand it. He said, look, I am going up to middleweight. This guy is a big name. He came into the UFC. He got his victory. He shut up a lot of people. And, you know, I always thought, I said it in my prior vlog, he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. This guy is an incredible fighter. But he should move up to middleweight. That's my opinion. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You know, that's a division where he can cause a lot of trouble. There are very few wrestlers in the middleweight division. There are some really talented fighters, but very few wrestlers, and he can cause a lot of damage in that division. That's the way I see it, guys. I'd like to know what you think and what you feel Jake Shields' true weight class is and should be. Please leave your comments below the video to let me know. Rate this video and subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.